p.m. Now, the hard winter of 2013 caused real problems for Britain's wildlife, and barn owls in particular were badly affected. Unable to hunt and starving to death, experts said the birds' numbers fell to their lowest level on record. But now there is some good news. The latest study by the Barn Owl Trust shows they're back from the brink because of a baby boom. David Gregory-Kumar explains.
The winter of 2013 was bad news all over for wildlife, but in Staffordshire the barn owls had a particularly hard time. And in Staffordshire, poorly birds end up with Andrew Campbell.
Molly! Here she comes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And there's about 276 owl species in the world, but the barn owls just top the lot, I think.
Now, Molly was an abandoned pet, so she can never be released into the wild. But not all the birds that come here are going to stay. For the wild barn owls, it's about keeping them away from people as much as possible and letting them recover.
So last year was a very busy year for us. The rehabilitation process in the sanctuary can be anything up to about 12 months, whether it's a broken leg or if it's a broken wing.
In a tough winter, barn owls find it hard to hunt, and in 2013 many simply starved to death. Across much of the country, surveys showed it was the worst year for barn owl numbers on record. In Staffordshire, the population crashed to just 15 breeding pairs.
So, Helen, a barn owl box comes in a flat pack then?
That's right, yeah. This is.
But barn owl lovers have been fighting back. The Staffordshire Barn Owl Action Group have put up more than 400 barn owl boxes, although that does rather beg the question.
Can't just live in a barn?
Yes, a lot of barns now have been converted to make houses, so we're losing a lot of the natural nest sites that barn owls would use.
And after the bad times, in 2014, many of those barn owl boxes saw a barn owl baby boom.
There's always going to be peaks and troughs in the barn owl population. Obviously, after this year, after 2014, there's going to be a lot of birds around. So hopefully 2015, we should be on for another year. If field vole populations stay high, which hopefully it should do, then we could be on for a run of good years. Hopefully the weather holds out there.
We can't do much about the weather, but preserving habitat and putting up boxes all helps. And so does the hard work of rehab centres like the Owl Experience near Stafford.
So Lily's wild cousins out there in the countryside have been having a really tough time of it the last few years. But if 2014 is as good as they say, then perhaps the population is on its way back.
David Gregory-Kumar, BBC News, Horton in Staffordshire.
Well, with us is Andrew Campbell, who you saw in that film. He runs the Owl Experience in Stafford. He's brought along Lily, the barn owl.
Good morning.
It's very exciting to be so close to such a beautiful animal. How is she? She's all right?
She's actually
with the lights?
Good journey up, yes, yeah.
OK. Are we surprised by this, well, I suppose, decline in their numbers, but also in this improvement?
I think within 2013, with the cold winter, I think it wiped out about 70% of the population of barn owls. But through the hard work, through the Barn Owl Trust and other organisations around, the numbers have started to increase, which is a great thing, really. So
you work obviously with the birds in captivity, but also the ones in the wild population?
Most of the birds that we have in the sanctuary have come to us as unwanted pets, or they've been neglected, or cruelty cases. But we also do a lot of wild rescues as well.
And what about Lily? What's her story?
Lily was an unwanted pet. She's been with us since about 4 years ago. And that's why she's so tame, because she's been raised by humans.
Yeah. And what do you feed her on, as opposed to the same sort of thing that she would be foraging for in the wild?
We try and vary the diet. Obviously in the wild they would eat rats, mice, voles, shrews, things like that. But we feed them on like day-old chicks, but we also supplement them with powders as well, so they get the necessary vitamins that they require to give them a long, healthy life.
And when you talk about issues with declining populations up to this year, when we've had this baby boom, it presumably leaves quite a gap in the cycle of life and wildlife, really.
Well, yeah, like I say, the Barn Owl Trust now, they've had a massive project going on at the minute to raise the numbers of barn owls, and I think within 2014 the numbers have reached by about 30%. So it's we are getting there.
And we're talking, obviously, Lily's a barn owl. Other species, what's been the story with them?
The tawny owls, we've got 5 native owl species to Britain. We've got the little owl, we've got the barn owl, the long-eared owl, the short-eared owl and the tawny owl. The long-eared owl and the short-eared owl are still on a decline. The barn owl's getting there, the tawny owls are thriving. Very good. Very well.
The weather's obviously played a factor, as we've been hearing, as we've been talking about. But presumably the other problem for owls is us, isn't it? It's man, and you know, the changes that we've made to the countryside, and therefore to whatever prey is available and habitats are available. A
lot of people think it's the habitats that have been taken away. Unfortunately, there's a lot of chemicals being used on farmland now. It's what's classed as SG-ACR, which is a second-generation anticoagulant rodenticide, and it's very, very potent. And what the farmers are not realising, that they're coming down, they're spraying this rodenticide on their crops. The owls are coming down, picking up the mice, taking it back to the nest, feeding it to the chicks, and the chicks are not even getting a start.
Okay. And back at the sanctuary where Lily lives, she gets a chance to fly around?
She gets to fly every day. She comes out every day, and she gets exercise like all the birds at the sanctuary.
Just before we came on air, she was spreading her wings, wasn't she? Tell us what she does that for, why she does that.
She's getting a bit eager. I think she wants to go for a fly.
So maybe she won't be able to fly home, but you'll take her back.
We'll take her back. We'll get her back into a box. We have a secure box in the back of the van, so we'll get her back to the sanctuary. We'll give her a fly when we get back.
Yeah, she is absolutely beautiful. How many owls have you got?
We have about 32 permanent residents at the minute, but that will probably double by the end of this year.
Just with ones that are coming in for
just as unwanted pets. The problem is now is that, you know, there's nobody governing who can have them as pets. You know, you can go on the internet now and buy a barn owl for £60 to £100.
Yeah, okay.
If there was somebody governing how many owls were bred per year, they wouldn't have this problem now.
Okay, Simon, thank you so much. Thanks for bringing in Lily. We're delighted that she's behaved.
Thank you.
It's just wonderful to see her at close quarters. Thanks very much. And viewers in the West Midlands can see more on that story on Inside Out tomorrow night at 7:30 on BBC One. For everyone else, it will, of course, be on iPlayer afterwards. That's all we've got time for on Breakfast this morning. Bill and Louise are back with you on BBC One tomorrow morning from 6. But whatever you're doing today, have a great day. From Lily and from me, goodbye.